Morning everybody, Saturday the 13th July, the last round of the Acorn Spring League. So we're just outside the bridge in as per normal. Going to nip in now and have a breakfast, and we'll get ourselves around the fishery, hopefully get a good peg. We are on what you call Cyanide Strait. It's not that bad though, it's just called Cyanide Strait, but it is a straight bit of the lake along the back. Pegs 13 up to 24, but I do feel the closer you are to 13 the better. But in saying that, it's probably one of the fairest sections there, to be honest. I've no idea what the weight's going to be. It is going to be a bright day. We had quite a lot of rain last night. It's bright today, low wind. I think it's going to be one of those again, isn't it? Typical Acorn, like the last match, isn't it? It's going to be a very slow start, and then hopefully we'll catch in that last 90 minutes down the edges, and that's certainly our plan. That's what sort of got us out of jail thus far, hasn't it? And kept us in the top sort of 2 or 3 of the league. And I think I'm sat up there third, but joint points with people. I think someone's got more weight than me, but then it all comes down to the droppers and that. So I know it's close. It's close between the top 4 or 5 actually. So let's hope we can end up in the top 4 or 5. But obviously I'd really love to win it. But I'm going to need a little bit of luck. So fingers crossed, and I'll see you in a bit. Crafty Kev, here he is, look, crafty fucking Kev. So we've tried 24, which is actually the end peg in the section. It runs from 13 to 24. I really wanted to be closer to 13. I felt you were a bit closer to the fish. Really much wind. The breeze that has just got up though is coming down this way, so that isn't such a bad thing. I think it's going to be quite a fair section. But one of the lads who's in the top 3 with us has drawn peg 5, which is probably the best peg in the southwest. So we'll have to see how it pans out. Wish me luck. Luck, boys. So peg 24, as we said, couldn't be further from 13, could it? But makes no odds to me. Once we get started, I never worry about things like that. I just think you've got a job to do. It's you against the peg, as always. So threw a few casters out there in the open water, and you've just seen a fish top there. Look, there is fish topping all around the fishery down the middle. What's that about? I don't know. Must be the conditions, the rain we had last night, maybe sat on the... I just don't know. I don't know. Rainwater sat on the bottom, I don't know. But they're moving. Doesn't mean they're feeding, but there's fish topping all the way around the fishery, right down the middle. And it's hung with them, it really is. So straight across, our usual pellets. Looking to get 1 or 2 early. This hasn't really happened this year, has it, in the series, to be honest. Pellets across was really my go-to last year, and it's not happened this year at all, really. You get odd fish on it and that, but Nothing like it was last year. I could stay across and catch sort of £100 before doing something else. Not been the case this year. But nice welcome little. Throwing plenty of casters as you can see down the middle. I've brought 6 pints of casters with me. Now, I don't generally spend that much on bait, I'll be honest, but I just thought we're in with a shout of winning it. It's so still and sunny. I just think at some stage or other I'm hoping that caster is going to come good. We shall see. Speeded up this bit of film because this big fish really did give us a good account of itself on such light tackle, really. I wasn't expecting one that size across. It's generally stockies, as you know by now. If you watch my previous videos, it's generally stockies across. Back across in another one. This is our third one in the first half an hour. Obviously we had to go down the edge and all the rest of it, so I'm pleased with that. With how the last few matches have gone, the first sort of hour, that's okay. And again, you can see I'm fishing that little bit lighter, aren't I? I'm being that little bit more timid, aren't I, playing them? I'm not rushing it back to the top quick kit quite as quickly as we have done in previous matches. Still religiously feeding that caster, not trying to put it in a tight area either. I'm chucking it in quite a wide range. It's quite, as I said, there's fish already up really, so I just want them feeding. I don't want them feeding nice and tight. It's not F1s, this is carp. We may have to fish off the back of it, to the left of it, to the right of it, in front of it, flip the caster around inside the feed, etc. So we don't want them on a sixpence. Not worried about that. And these fish are certainly fighting fit, that's for sure at the moment. You get different times of year, they sort of pull differently, don't they? Obviously the winter they're sluggish, but Do you know what I mean? Sometimes in hot weather they're quite sluggish, aren't they? But not the case today. So yeah, just over 30 minutes in, three good carp. Probably got about £16 in the net. Happy with that in the first 30 minutes. Quick look down the edge because the cross went a little bit funny. We sort of waited 5 minutes, didn't get one. I felt there were a fish or two there, mind as always. Keep coming off the bottom, don't they? So I just thought, let's rest it. So I had a look down the edge, nothing. So out on the shallow caster, see if we can tempt one of these fish we've seen moving about. Down the middle on that caster, um, and we've nabbed one. We were just about to give up, to be honest, because we've been on it about, I don't know, between 12 and 15 minutes. And although I've seen fish move in there, um, I can't really say that they've sort of they've been feeding on the casters. They were there anyway. We've been throwing casters on them. Are they feeding on them, or are they just there like they were before anyway? I'm not too sure. So just about to come off it, but we had a bite, so rewarded with something for our little bit of effort there. But it slowed across dramatically, by the way. We had to go across again in that. Lost, so I say 12 to 15 minutes. Yes, 12 to 15 minutes trying on the casters, but we had another 15 minutes or so across as well. So sort of half an hour has gone by now. So now all of a sudden we're an hour in, and that good first half an hour with three fish, but it took us another half an hour to hook our fourth. Not a bad sized fish, not massive, but little weight builder. Don't mind what size they come, if I'm honest, as long as they come quick enough. The league thus far, as we were mentioning earlier, the first match we won our section, but we had the lowest weight of the section winners. There's three sections around the lake, but they're large sections. Um, so we were third, and then I think after the second round we won that section, so we were first, and we've been the first all the way up until last week, um, or 2 weeks ago, I should say, on the fifth round, when I got battered by Crafty Kev on the pace, didn't I? Got battered by the pace and come second in section. I really thought that was going to be enough to keep me top of the league, but a couple of people won their sections, and they were the ones who were up near the top as well. And I think it's very close now. There's three of us on the same points, and I got a feeling that I've got a better dropper than the other two, um, but one of them is. One of them has got a point more than me, and the other one has got more weight than me, but a point less, I think. And then, of course, there's Crafty Kev, and he's in the top four as well. I think he's a point behind as well, I believe. So, all very tight. Brilliant, really. Love it. So, quick look down the edges with maggots. We're just fishing maggots down the edges. No good at all. So, going to flick the feeder across now. Um, a couple of reasons really. One, because you'll generally catch one or two fish on it before they get a little bit cute to it, especially being so bright and so flat. But also to give us a little bit of thinking time, isn't it? We can throw our casters down the middle still quite easily whilst the rod's out there. You're not holding a poe or nothing, are you? And it just gives you that little bit of thinking time, like I say. And I think sometimes that's quite important, just to be able to sit back in your match and be able to think. Um, yeah, chucking the feeder is perfect for that. I mean, I'd honestly say, even if I didn't have a feeder set up, sometimes it's worth just sitting on your box and not fishing for 2 minutes and just having a good old think. Really, what's my next move? What can I do to improve things? You know, making changes and thinking in matches is what it's all about, really. Because once you can chuck a feeder as well as anybody else, you can present a bait on a pole and feed it as well as anybody else. It's all about what you're doing at what time in the match, isn't it? And whether you've picked the right method. It's all thinking. Yeah, the series has been very like that this year, hasn't it? Every single match has been very, very different. I've never known it so varied. Last year it was all about down the edges, last couple of hours, and that has come to fruition a couple of times, in this series. Down, but not every time. No, not at all. I mean, we've had one match, haven't we, where we've caught on the caster shallow. Um, Yeah, it's been very. I've had one match where I caught quite well down the middle as well, with silvers and things as well, and then silvers on the caster shallow. Yeah, it's been quite varied this year. You've had to really think about it, which I love. Absolutely love it. So this is a bit of a unexpected run on the feeder. Really, I did not see it. I didn't see me catching quite so well on it as I have. I don't think it's going to. I don't think it's going to keep going. Mind, um, far too flat, far too bright. But yeah, really good. That sort of spell in the match as well. We were 2 hours in before we shut this, and it wasn't really happening the last sort of 90 minutes. So yeah, really good. I think the feeder's just been so effective because the fish just want to be off the bottom. So as soon as you cab pot anything in across, and it's been like that all year, mine to be fair, they're just up. Even with sixes, you can be fishing 20 inches deep, drop a few 6 mils in, and they're up. With the feeder, of course, you can compact it, throw it across. So the feeder slow. So we have a little look down the edge there on them maggots, and lo and behold, we've hooked one. Promising. That's reasonable fish too. The only trouble is I have noticed is every fish I'm playing, where there's so many fish up in the water, and not just in this peg, but all the way around the lake, like I said, everything you hook just keeps getting spooked by other fish, and then they just zoom off, don't they? I'm sure you've all experienced that. You're sort of playing a fish, and all of a sudden they just fly off because they've been spooked by another. They certainly are pulling well. So as we were saying earlier, it's just maggot over maggot. Um, yeah, so it's like a whole cab pot, fairly tall cab pot of maggots. And then I just lift the rig up above the maggots, drop it halfway down, hold it, and I count it down really, to be honest. Right, so we tried both edges for 10 more minutes, nothing. So back out on the feeder, but that doesn't really look like it's come back to life. We've had a fish, but it's took a while. And when I say I count me maggots down, what I mean by that is when if you get a spaghetti jar or something at home, fill it up with water, drop a maggot in it, you'll see where you drop that maggot, the first sort of 6 inches going into the water, it travels with speed because it had momentum because you dropped it. It's like a diver diving in the water, isn't it? But once you watch it past that 6, 8, 10 inches, whatever, all of a sudden that maggot slows down massively. You'll be amazed how long it takes for that maggot to kick around and get down to the bottom. It's about, I'd say it's about 7 seconds a foot. So I'm counting, because I'm dropping the maggots in out the pot, giving them momentum, I'm counting about 17, 18 seconds before I lower my rig down on top of it. Just prevents failures. So throw in some more casters, a lot more aggressively now. I'm really trying to force the peg. I have happy enough, but I can see Rob over on 27 who's off to my left and opposite me. He's doing well in his section. And Crafty Kev down on the bridge there. He's catching on his putty, isn't he? caster line is so good at times. This is real time now. I do have to give it a rest. I catch like 10 to 12 minutes really fast, and then I have to give it a rest for about 10 minutes, like try the edge or whatever. This is real time now, and I've had bites faster than that. Considering this is carp as well as F1s, and big tench as well, by the way. I've had some tench come right up, 20 inches for the caster, probably £5 a piece. The rig we're using on this is white hydro, 018 mainline, a true 018 mainline. You've got to be a little bit careful when you're fishing up in the water there like this. That two, sort of point two is all very well and good for down the edges. I wouldn't use it down the middle. So it's 018, 014 hook length though, 16 hook, nice and robust, nice big hook. Don't want to miss too many bites. A small microband, latex microband. But what I got now is I got a bit of a dilemma. I haven't really caught to the right. Now I got more room to the right than I have the left, and it's not really happened on the right. So what I'm thinking now is cutting out the right hand line altogether and focusing on the left hand edge line as well as the shallow caster. The only trouble is by throwing the shallow caster, am I stopping them coming into that left edge? I'm not too sure. The edge fish are normally different size fish, so what I decided I'm going to do is I'm going to feed it heavy with maggots by hand down that left edge, so we got somewhere to go to rest that caster line every 10-12 minutes, as we were saying. But at least when I sat down that edge for 10 minutes, whatever, however long, we can just sit and wait on one line waiting for a bite. So I think that's the game plan now for the last hour. The crafty Kev down there catching well on that paste again. Big fish as well, short, just off his keep nets. And I'm obviously concerned whether we're making the right choices or not. Our fish are not big, edge fish are big, but I just think the pace we're catching them, and also I can't catch them down the edge like with any consistency. I'll get an odd fish, but that's about it. So it's one of those, isn't it? It's always sort of you live and die by your choices, don't you? So we'll see by the end, but at the moment I'm sticking with the game plan and we'll see how it goes. Fantastic fishing though. I mean, you can't ask for nicer really. Lovely light sort of, elastic, tiny little dinky bites on the caster, so quick little bites. You'd never believe there's a carp or a big F1 on the end of it really. Look more like roach bites. I did put up a bit of text there to say I will show it. I'll do a little short video just showing you the caster rig sometime this week. Very simple rig. I'll show you the float I use as well. Quite a new pattern that's come my way actually by somebody down here in this league, surprisingly enough. So another fat little carp. It's getting a bit samey, isn't it? I must admit, I just never expected to catch. I mean, if you told me at the start of the match, oh, you'll be catching that fast on caster there, Bob, the last sort of 90 minutes of your match, I'd have never believed you. I really thought plumbing up. I thought edges being so bright. I thought the deeper edges were going to be an advantage. It doesn't seem like they are. But I say that I don't really know how other people are catching down their edges. It may well be that the conditions of brightness are stopping most people catching down the edges. Although I can see Rob Wiltshire over there on 29, he is catching down the edges, and he's up there with us. We don't want him catching too many, do we? And Crafty Kev on the pace. He's fishing in front of his keep net. It's probably about 3 foot deep on that mint ice cream. Unbelievable. I'm going to play some more music now because I just don't know what else to say over catching all these fish on the caster, to be honest. So just having a little glance down at Kev there, see how he's getting on. Crafty Kev on that putty. I'm not sure anybody's going to make it to the end of this video, to be honest. It's getting a bit boring, boring, isn't it? Just repeatedly catching fish on casters. Yeah, shallow, just unbelievable. Can't, never had a line this strong down here on the caster, I have to admit. Never quite like this. Caught a few, I've caught a few sort of small carp, an odd bigger carp, but silvers in between in that, but never rigid with carp, sort of, little carp like this, and nice big F1s, big tench as well. I've had a couple of big tench, sort of around 5, even to £6 mark. Fantastic fish. Amazing how they come up off the bottom for them casters, isn't it? Might get a couple more of them yet. It is going to be so tight up to the line now. I'm regretting that I had that peg 25 on that windy day. Come third in section, but I was pipped for second by a pound, and I can't help feel that 1 point in that pound's going to come back to haunt me. But I just feel it's going to be that close. I really do. I've actually slipped another net in. I normally put in 4 nets, one for silvers, 3 for carp. I don't tend to go more than £40 in a net because I never want to go anywhere near the limit. Plus, I got to pull them out at the end, and I don't like too many fish in a net. I always use 2.5 meter net keep nets as well, to be honest. But so yeah, I had 4 in, so I snuck, and that's a good. Oh yeah, he come in and out our peg. We've seen him a few times going down that edge, and finally putting those maggots in, giving that caster line a rest. We've gone down there with treble white maggot on a 16, and we've nailed him, haven't we? Lovely long common. Got to get him in the net head first, you'll never get him in there. Nice. So back on the shallow caster. That little carp. Lovely big tench again. Fantastic fish. Incredible fishery, mind. Great series as well. I have to say thank you to Brian Slipper and Paul Nichols really for running, and to Zoe and Des down here who do a great job with the fishery. Mark Bartlett as well. Come down here a lot this year. Absolutely loved it. But I must admit, I have got to a point where I got a little bit fed up with it. I sort of realised that I'd signed up for the spring league and a sort of little summer league that runs alongside it. I've shown odd videos of that, but it's an open draw every time, so you're not in sections. So and they're also sort of Ace of Acorn qualifiers. But I do like to move around a little bit, so I don't think I'd do both next year. No disrespect to the fishery, absolutely love it. Every time I leave here, I want to get back again. But yeah, looking to do a few other places. And this is the last of the Spring League today, so I think we'll start looking for 1 or 2 other venues now. I haven't really got that much booked up this year, so I've got quite a free calendar really. So yeah, we'll have to see where we fancy something a bit different. Still looking down at Crafty Kev, still having a few on that paste, isn't he? That minty putty ice cream. He didn't try and tell us any crafty tales this time anyway, which is always a good thing, isn't it? You go throw the casters out, lower the rig in, and that's how they wanted it today as well. I've not slapped the rig in, they haven't wanted to know that at all, just lower the rig in, and there you go. I have pushed the little bit of shot I got under the float, right underneath the float, and had just a free falling caster. No sort of double bulk or anything like that. They're bulked above the hook length, just or everything under the float. Another whacking great tench. We're not far from the end of the match now. Been a great series, as I say. Been quite diverse the fishing, hasn't it? Been very lucky with the weather. Astra's almost gone now.